Hi everyone. I guess I'll make this video that I alluded to in my third video, I believe, talking about some difficult things that myself and my sister experienced because of our exposure to Jehovah's Witnesses. I guess as far back as I can remember, because my mom was actually pregnant with me when she got baptized. So I guess I'm the biggest witness ever, because I was basically baptized with my mom while she was pregnant. All I could ever really remember is going to the Kingdom Hall. Really, I don't have a lot of childhood memories that I could say were very, very happy that I can really think of. But I do remember that where I lived, it was a little bit more rural. I lived outside of a big city, but I lived far enough away outside of that big city to where things were very, very spread out. So I wasn't really close by anything. So, my parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they weren't really going to allow my grandparents to really watch me. My sister was school age, but even though my sister was school age, we still had a babysitter. Like when my parents would go out to eat or do things that they didn't want to take us with them. And it was a family of Jehovah's Witnesses that used to watch us. It was a mom and dad, and then they had 4 girls and 2 boys. My farthest back memory of these people that I can remember was when I was 3. I'm pretty sure I was over there prior to then, but I can only remember back to being 3 years old. My sister was 2 years older than me, so if I remember to 3, she was about 5, and certain things she remembers and certain things I remember differently, only because of the age difference and the fact of, how a 3-year-old's perceptions of things are, how a 5-year-old's perceptions of things were. I always remember that I thought the family was always really strange. I'm going to give you a for instance of the strangeness. The father routinely, and I was made to go watch him at times, and I always felt very uncomfortable watching him. But for some reason, he felt the need to do all of his bathroom business, except for showering, in a bucket in the garage of their home. That sounds crazy. It is crazy. And of course, his pants would be pulled down. I always thought it was really strange. He always made me stand near him a lot of the times when he was doing his business, and I would cry and run back inside sometimes. And I used to ask my parents, I was like, I don't know, why does he do that? And they were like, well, maybe he's just eccentric. But brother, what's his name is, he's fine. He's fine. Yeah, that wasn't okay. That should have been the first red flag for my parents, but I guess not. Then I used to spend a lot of time with them. My parents would be at work. I was there with them. And I knew that I was never supposed to go into their bedroom. Like my parents always told me that you never go into adults' bedrooms. I never was supposed to be there. Several occasions I woke up in their bedroom, terrified, breathing hard, and all of my clothes were gone. That's time I check. When you take a nap, you can't sleep in clothing. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk about will be very in and out, because you have to remember how I remember a lot of the things. There's a lot of things that went on. But what I would vividly remember was they had an older daughter, and she would routinely take myself and my sister. Sister was 5, I was 3. And this started then, and I'm pretty sure it kept on until I was about 5. So at least 2 years that I remember, that I can remember distinctly, that she would take us in the bathroom and she would make us do things to her. That's about as explicit as I'm going to get with it. But I never wanted to do it, and I would cry. My sister would cry, and it was just awful. It was awful. To this day, sometimes I always have to suck on a peppermint because I'll just have this awful taste in my mouth, and it'll remind me of all the bad things that this person made me do and made my sister do. And one day, I got to go home. My grandmother picked me up, and instead of these people being dropped off over there, and I got to watch an after school special that came on. And it talked about a little girl who her dad had been touching her in a bad way. I had never really even talked about any of this because at the time, people didn't talk about things like this. And I realized instantly everything that had been going on was really bad. But in this little after school special, they told us, it said, hey, you should tell a parent. And before I really didn't know what to do. And so my mom came home. I was very, very logical about it. I said, Mom, I have to tell you something, and you're really going to be disappointed in me. Age 5 now, very grown up. And she sat down, and I took my hands and I put them over her hands as if I were to console her. And I said, Mom, I feel very bad. I feel very bad, Mommy, because these people have been making me do things. And I haven't wanted to do it, but this is what's been going on. My mom was like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So she calls my sister. And my sister is now 7. I am 5. And she says, your sister says this has been going on. Has this been going on? And I saw the fear in my sister's face because she wasn't ready to hear the truth or to say the truth out loud. And she was like, no. She's lying. And I said, Mom, I'm not lying. The after school special thing I saw, it said if bad things happen, you're supposed to tell a parent, and I'm telling you. So my mom takes me, puts me in the car, drives over to the people's house. I'm terrified because at this point, this is my worst nightmare of me having to go back to this house that I knew all these bad things that would happen. All these bad things that would happen, and I would always have nightmares at night. For many, many years, I had nightmares about this home. And Mom goes over, she goes inside, I don't know what happens. She comes back out to the car, and she says, you don't have to go back there anymore. I can just tell you that those experiences really, really changed my life. So I was very hypersensitive at that point after that to anyone trying to do anything to me. So, the situation at the elder's home with his son trying to basically pull my pants off when I was 10, definitely I was terrified because I thought this was happening all over again. And because these people were Jehovah's Witnesses, my parents, they didn't do anything. In fact, my mom never told my father. It's been many years, and I just found out that my father never knew. And when I told him about it, he was quite angry. But of course, that's all water under the bridge. Well, when I turned 19, I thought all of this was just a really bad dream. Maybe that my mind just made it all up. Until I got confirmation. My mom wanted to visit these people again. And since I was all grown up, I guess I thought I shouldn't be afraid. But as soon as we pulled up into the driveway, as soon as I saw the sunflowers that lined their driveway, I was that 3-year-old little girl all over again. I saw the husband, I saw the wife, I saw the house, and immediately I just wondered. I looked for their daughter, I looked for their other kids, because it wasn't just that one daughter. It was their sons a couple of times, another one of their older daughters. I don't know about the parents because I was too young to remember. I just remember waking up in their room and knowing that I shouldn't be there and wondering where my clothes were. Anyway, I got a chance to talk to the husband and wife, and they were like, "Oh, we're so happy to see you." And my mom was like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you." And my mom walked ahead of me a little bit with the wife of the wife, and I kind of walked a little bit farther behind. And the husband, we got far enough that we were out of earshot of my mother, and then all of a sudden he grabbed my arm and pulled me to him, and he said, "Do you remember what happened in here?" I was so scared, and I just barely could breathe it out. I said, no, I don't remember. I was lying. I remembered. He said, "Good." Pushed me away and walked up and continued his conversation with my mother. I would have never been exposed to this family or to these people, neither would my sister, if my parents wouldn't have been Jehovah's Witnesses. If these people wouldn't have been Jehovah's Witnesses, none of that would have ever happened. My life wouldn't have changed in a very dark direction at a very early time in my life. It still scars me to this day. Still covers my heart to this day. Still makes it difficult for me to have close relationships to this day. Still makes it hard for me to trust to this day. So if I can tell anyone anything, if you have children and you love them, don't expose them to Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't police the people enough to know who are pedophiles and who are not. And if they just so happen to be an elder, it doesn't matter, because if their child or their family member commits that crime or that heinous thing, nothing will ever be done about it, because you won't be strong enough once you're inside to move outside for help. Just something to think about the next time you have these people come knocking at your door. When they write down on their little return visit slips if they notated children's toys outside your home. Just think about that.